DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, we're not done. You need a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves anyone out there, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then this is what we do. We put all this together into one philosophy. We create a whole brand around this. We create a whole process that you can apply. We codify this. We streamline the whole thing so you can apply all of this into whatever it is you decide to do with your life. We have a book on the subject, hardcover book you can get. I'll tell you about that later on in due time. We have a university that's open enrollment, and you are listening to the Daily Masterclass. All of this is under one umbrella. It is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, we are on volume 6. We are answering the last 6 questions from Prairie High's Entrepreneurship class. They've asked some great questions here, so let's get right into it without further ado. You already know the deal with these questions. We are on question number 35. The question is, what is the best advice that you could give someone to reach their goals? Man, y'all setting me up for this one. All right, everybody who knows me knows the answer to this question. Let's all say it together. Work on your fucking game. That is the best advice I can give anyone to reach their goals. But I'll give you a little bit more than that. To reach your goals, first of all, deconstruct your goals. So look at what the outcome is, the thing that you want, and ask yourself the following question. What would have to be true in order for this goal to be achieved? So, for example, if you have the goal of you want to get a PhD, what would have to be true for me to have a PhD? Now, I don't have one, so forgive me for being very generic with this, but you can find out the answer to this question. Because if your goal, you should be doing the work. For me to have a PhD, that means I would have to get into a PhD program and I would have to complete it. All right, what would have to be true for that to happen? For me to get into a PhD program and complete it, I would need to have pretty good grades in my undergrad studies, because PhD programs only accept the best of the best. Okay, for that to happen, what would have to be true? I would have to really dedicate myself to my studies in school and make sure that I'm not focusing too much on socializing and partying like Dre did, or like Dre would if he went back, because Dre wasn't trying to get a PhD, but I am. Okay, so what would have to be true? I need to choose a school that's going to set me up for the type of PhD program I want to go into, and maybe not put myself in a school that might be a little bit too challenging for me. Therefore, my grades won't be impressive enough for me to get into a PhD program. Okay, what would have to be true? I better make sure I start filling out some applications for colleges. Since I'm a junior or senior in high school right now, I should probably get on top of that right now. All right, what would have to be true? I need to decide what schools do I want to go to? Why do I want to go there? What do I want to study? And then you want to deconstruct until you get to a point of something that you can do right now today. Keep asking the question, what would have to be true for that to happen? What would have to be true for that to happen? What would have to be true for that to happen? Until you get to an action that you can take today. So now you have a strategy. And then all you have to do is write down all of those, and there's your strategy. Those are all the things you need to achieve. Now, in order for you to do these things, you may have to fill in some details. You might have to ask somebody who knows what you don't know. You might need to find a mentor. You might need to read some books. You might need to do some research. I'll give you one that's more from my own personal experience, so I can give you even more detail here. So let's say I'm 16 years old and I want to play professional basketball. What would have to be true? Well, I would have to have a team interested in me and wanting to sign me to a contract. And they're going to pay me to play basketball. But what would have to be true for that to happen, Dre? I would need to have proven that I'm contract worthy and salary worthy to a professional basketball team for them to want to sign me. Well, what would have to be true? I would have to play somewhere on the amateur level, that's up to college basketball, and actually show that I'm really good, because that's the only way a pro team would know that I exist. And again, at 16, this is all that I knew. I didn't know about exposure camps. Okay, so what would have to be true? I need to get on a college basketball team and actually make the team and play and do well. What would have to be true? I'm going to need to go to a college and have a spot on that team's roster. What would have to be true? Well, I'm going to have to be invited, maybe have a scholarship, maybe be a walk-on, or just an invited walk-on, or just a out of nowhere walk-on on a college basketball team. But I have to be on that roster to do my thing in college, so I can show the pros that I'm good enough to do my thing in the pros. What would have to be true? Well, I'm going to need to actually enroll in college. What would have to be true? I'm going to need to apply to and be accepted to some colleges, so I have some options and some choices as to where I can go to school, even if it's only one. What would have to be true? All right, on top of that, let me make sure I'm doing my thing in school. We make sure I take the SATs and I have all the necessary, requirements to play NCAA college basketball as a freshman, because you got to have certain grades and you got to have passed certain courses or whatever in high school in order to be eligible in college ball. What else would have to be true? I'm probably gonna need to get better at basketball. So there's a parallel, same thing, but same vertical, but parallel. I'll probably need to get better at basketball. I need to improve my game because here I am, 16. I'm not even on my high school team yet. I don't have that much confidence on the court. I'm going to need those things when I'm play pro basketball, let alone college basketball, let alone pro basketball, even high school basketball. So I need to keep working on my game. Well, what had to be true? I need to stop wasting time, hanging at the mall or standing outside with my friends. I need to go to that court and work on my game so I can get better. So you see how I'm deconstructing this from the goal backwards to where I'm at right now to something that I can do today. That is the best advice I can give someone to reach their goals, is deconstruct the goal back to an action step that you can take right now in the moment, because it's one thing to write down a goal and say you want to do this and that. It's a whole other thing to actually be taking action in the present. As I told you, that is one of the practical ways that we define success over here, especially in my book, The Mental Workbook. If you are not going after something and you're not doing anything, the world is moving and you're standing still, that means by definition, you are losing. There is no neutral. Question number 36. Again, answering questions from Prairie High's entrepreneurship class, number 36. How challenging was it to reach where you are right now? That's an interesting question, because while you're on the journey doing the thing, you don't look at it as, all right, I'm here 2007 and now I want to be here 2021. So I didn't look at it like that. Every day is just an everyday process. So every day I'm building. Every day I'm appearing in front of some audience of people who never heard of me before. Every day I might be picking up one new person who's now a fan, and they're going to buy all my stuff and they're going to be following me for the next 10 years, but they just heard of me yesterday. So every day that process is ongoing. Every day when I was playing ball, there was just another practice, another 2 practices, another game to play in, another video gets posted to the internet, another article that I wrote. So every day we're just slowly building it. So it wasn't like I wasn't looking at it from a 10,000 foot view of, damn, how am I going to get from here to there? I didn't have this idea of deconstructing the goal from the goal to back where I'm at today. I can explain that to you now, but I didn't have it that way when I was your age. I didn't know those things. I couldn't have articulated that, and no one articulated it to me. But I'm able to explain it to you now. So I'm giving you the game that nobody gave me, which is what my whole business has always been about. So how challenging was it? Well, I mean, there have been challenges along the way. There were challenges in the sports world. There are challenges in the business world. There are challenges in building a brand. There are challenges in just running a company and running a business and being a CEO. There are challenges to all of those things. So, but at the same time, I never looked at it like, damn, I'm here. How am I going to get all the way over there? It's never been that, because, and one of the reasons is nowadays being able to explain what I just explained, we know how to deconstruct the goal. We know how to deconstruct the outcome and work it back to where we are now. So we don't look at it as, damn, how am I going to get from here to selling, the first 1,000 copies of this book? We look at it as, all right, what do we need to do today? And then this week, and then this month, this quarter, this year. And then what's the overall goal? So if we're just taking it bite-sized by bite-sized piece and just doing it one day at a time, that's a hashtag that I like to use when I show you all construction and my Instagram stories, on my social media stories, that one day at a time, then we're able to do it. All right? I'm just telling you what you can do today, not what you need to do for the next 30 years, what you can do today. So it doesn't look like that, a big Herculean challenge when you're looking at it one day at a time, because we can always do something right now where it may not be so easy to do a 30-year plan in one day. We can always do a one-day plan in one day, if that makes sense. Question number 37, again from Prairie High's entrepreneurship class. How different would your life be if you would have given up? Wow, well, that's a great question. If I had given up, well, you wouldn't be asking me any questions right now. I would not have appeared in your class and you wouldn't be asking me any questions. I would not have a podcast. I would not have played professional basketball. I would not have passed go. I would not have collected $200. Nobody would know who I was had I given up. And there were many times where I easily could have given up. And that really became the value of my brand, was that, look at this dude. When people hear me, they don't really know me like that, and they just hear what I'm talking about, they're like, all right, this guy is knowledgeable. He knows his stuff. He seems to have something going on. He's about something. But then when people really learn the story and they see what I went through and many times that I could have, maybe even should have given up, but I was so stubborn to keep trying and then made it happen, that's when people are like, wow, there were many times you really, really could have given up. There were many times you really could have quit. I remember my grandmother, on my father's side, she read my book, Work on Your Game. Now, my grandmother's in her 80s. Now, she doesn't know all the details of what I was going through. She doesn't listen to podcasts. She isn't watching YouTube videos. So even though she knows me, of course, since I was a child, she doesn't know all the details of my story. So when she read my book, Work on Your Game, she told me, she was like, I had no idea. First of all, she complimented my writing. She said, I didn't know you were that good of a writer. But then she said, I didn't know all these details of your story. She said, I knew you wrote books and I knew you played basketball and all that. But I didn't know about, you not making the team all those years and then not being on the team in college and all these things not working in your favor, and you just kept going. And she complimented me and said, there were so many times it looked like you definitely could have quit, but you kept trying. And again, this is a person who knows me, but she didn't know any of the backstory. She didn't know any of these details because she's not seeing me on a day-to-day basis. She's like your grandmother. You see your grandma like a couple times a year. That's how my relationship with my grandmother is. So when she read the story, she was saying that. So for me, had I given up, none of these things would exist. The books, I'm sitting here at this desk right now. I got a couple of Work on Your Game hoodies in front of me. I'm wearing a hat right now. I got a couple of books in front of me. I'm answering questions of a class, an entrepreneurship class that I was asked to appear on because your teacher saw me on somebody else's show giving game and said this guy would be useful to us because of the things that he's talking about. None of these things would exist. My whole life would be completely different had I given up in high school, had I given up in college. So, man, even if had I given up many times once I became a professional, once I was out of college, and had I not kept going to make the story what it became, because then I wouldn't have the credibility to talk about the things that I'm talking about, and I probably wouldn't have the experiences to talk about the things that I'm talking about. So how would my life be if I had given up? Is like the butterfly effect. If any of you ever saw that movie with Ashton Kutcher, it would be a completely different world. Who knows? I can't even. It's almost surreal to even try to wrap my mind around what my life would be like had I given up at any of those points. Everything I had to have kept going in order for all of this to exist as it is right now. That's a great question. Question number 38. We're answering questions from Prairie High's entrepreneurship class. Number 38. What made you want to change from a basketball career to a business career? So this question also came up several times, and it wasn't really wanting to change. What maybe some people don't understand about athletic careers is that you can't play sports forever. You can be an entrepreneur forever, at least as long as you're alive, because you're basically working off of your mind. You're using your mental assets. But when you're an athlete, your body is the business. And the thing is, the human body was not made to do what we do as athletes in no sport. No sport was a human body made for doing what we do. This is why athletes usually stop playing around 40 years old. Even the best athletes around age 40, they're pretty much done, because the human body breaks down. The body is not made to do the kind of movements we do in basketball or marathon running or karate or boxing. It's not made for that stuff. That's why athletes finish when they get around that age, and now they still have the second half of their lives to live. The only sport where I see athletes continuing to go is, at least off the top of my head, is golf. Because golf is still physically strenuous. I don't play golf, but it is definitely not anything close to football or basketball or hockey or baseball. So the body eventually gives out for that sport, at least compared to the other younger guys who are coming up or girls who are coming up in that sport. So you can't play it forever. So what made me want to change, it wasn't necessarily changing. It was the transition. All right, the basketball is going to be over at some point. Most basketball, football careers end within 3 years. So I was able to have mine stretched to 9 years, but I always had in the back of my mind, what else am I going to do? So that's why when I saw the opportunity of the internet to blog and to put videos on YouTube and take advantage of social media, well, it was MySpace first and then what became social media, I took advantage of it because I'm like, well, this basketball thing's not guaranteed for me. I'm on right now, but I might be off next year. I got a contract this year. I might not have a contract in 6 months. So I better make sure I got some other things going on here so I have some opportunities for myself to control my destiny if this basketball thing stops working. It's working now, but just 3 weeks ago it wasn't working. So I better make sure I keep my opportunities, keep my options open. So I always had an open mind in doing other things that I knew eventually I would need to, and who knew when eventually would come. Eventually might have came a lot sooner had I not been as, I guess you got to say, a little bit of luck involved in me being able to stretch my career as long as I did, when the average career is only a third as long as what mine ended up being. So that's what made me keep in mind the business career, because at some point I was going there either way. I just happened to be able to stave it off for a little while because my basketball career kept going. But at the same time, as I've already told you, explained many times, I had a business career going even while I was playing basketball. Question number 39 from Prairie High's entrepreneurship class. What challenges did you face while starting up your brand? So the way that I first started using the phrase work on your game, the brand that became work on your game, I didn't tell this story yet in all these questions. This was in 2009. I had just come home. I was playing in Germany And I was in Germany till the end of, I believe this is 2008. And I had an agent at the time, a German agent. He was trying to get me a job in Ireland. He was trying to get me a gig in Ireland. And he told me that he was negotiating with the team and he's going back and forth with them. He's just emailing me every day, letting me know, like, yo, this is what they're saying. They're working on this. I'm really trying to push this deal, get it done. And he told me, because I remember Christmas was on a Friday. And I was in Germany like that Monday, right before, the Monday before Christmas. Christmas was a Friday. And the agent, his name was Alex, he was telling me, Dre, this team in Ireland, they have a game on Saturday. So if we get this deal done, they're going to want you to play in that game on Saturday. So, just keep that in mind. He was just letting me know, keep that in mind, because I was in Germany at the time, and he's in Germany, but we weren't in the same city at that point. He just emailed me, let me know what's going on. Like, yo, be ready, because once we get this deal done, you're going to play in that game on Saturday. That's what they're going to want immediately, the day after Christmas, which means at the same time, I'm not going home for Christmas. So I'm having all this in mind, and we ended up not doing the deal. He ended up hitting me up and saying, yo, the team in Ireland, they decided that they're not going to sign a player from outside of Ireland for the rest of the season. They call them import players. So you're an imported good from outside of the country. So they decided they're not going to sign an import player for the rest of the season. They're just going to play with what they got. So I ended up not playing in Ireland. I go back home to the United States. So in early January, after the New Year and all that, I'm in a 24-hour fitness gym in Miami, down in Cutler Bay. And it's 24 hours. So I'm in the gym at like 3 in the morning. I don't know why I was in the gym at that time, but I'm in the gym 3 in the morning working out. And I had my little camera with me. And this, again, when we had cameras and phones. This is before they had cameras on the phones. And actually they probably did, but they didn't have good quality video like they got now. So anyway, I had my camera with me, and I was thinking about all the questions I had been being asked on YouTube incessantly around that time, because I had gotten a lot of players coming to me asking me questions about, Dre, can you give me tips? Can you give me some advice? Can you give me some help on my game? Players were just asking me all different kinds of questions, because I was like one of the only guys publishing content, and I was actually responding to my audience online. I was the only person doing this at that period of time. But players kept asking me the same things. Can you give me some help? Give me some advice. And I made this video just explaining to them where I was at, just for everybody. And I said to them in this video, I said, look, y'all see me right now. I recorded the video on the basketball court. This video is still on YouTube. And I said to them, look, y'all see where I'm at. It's like 3 in the morning. I'm in a 24-hour fitness in the gym practicing by myself. All right. The reason why I'm in a position that you all are not in, the reason I'm in a position that you're asking me how to get better at basketball while you're not that good yet, is because look where each of us is at right now. I'm in the gym getting better, practicing. You're on YouTube watching videos. So what you need to do right now is and I said all this in the video, you need to stop watching this video. I told them, X out the video. Don't even watch the rest of the video. Stop playing Xbox. Stop standing on the corner. Go grab your basketball and go work on your fucking game. That was the first time I ever used that phrase in the video. And everyone loved that phrase so much that they just started repeating it back to me. Man, work on your game, work on your game. People kept saying that to me. I love that phrase. And that planted a seed in my mind, like, yo, I could build everything around that phrase, work on your game, because it applies in sports, it applies in life, it's perfect. So that's how I got the original idea for work on your game. So that's how the brand started, was that. So there was no challenge in that. All right, the challenge was getting to the point of realizing, like, yo, that's something that I could actually use. And it didn't take long for that light bulb to go off in my head. But as far as starting the brand, that was the start of the brand right there. When I said work on your game, when I said work on your fucking game in that video, that was the start of that being connected to my name. And then I just kept publishing videos as I already was. I was already putting out videos all the time at that point. And I was already going to the gym every day, working on my game at that point. I was already blogging a little bit at that point, and more and more people were starting to know me, because everybody's getting on YouTube and going on the internet and sharing my stuff and all that. So there was never a point that I, quote unquote, started my brand. It kind of just popped off from there. So again, the way that I started my brand was way different than a lot of people do. A lot of people are looking at it like, all right, I'm going to start a brand today. What do? I need to do this. It didn't happen that way for me. It happened organically, because I was just telling people how I was. And again, I didn't tell people to work on their fucking game because I was trying to make a brand or a phrase or a slogan out of it. That was just the way that I talk. And any of you who is new to me and you just came to me through answering these questions, this is just the way that I communicate. not all the time, but that was just the way that I talked. And I just said it how I say it. I would have said that if I was talking to one person, I was talking to 1,000. That's just the way that I said it. And that's the way it came out and people loved it. And that authenticity is what people have always bought into when it comes to me, that they know I'm gonna keep it real with them. I'm gonna tell you what it is. I'm not PC, I'm not corporate, I'm not controlled by anybody. I'm not concerned with offending anybody. I say what the hell I want to say, and however it comes out, it comes out. And that's what happened there, and that's how the brand began. And everything I just told you about me has always been hallmarks of the brand. That's what people buy into. So what challenges did I face starting with my brand? None. I didn't even know I was starting it. It wasn't until years later that I said, damn, I have a brand. So it wasn't like a planned out, strategized thing. Question number 40. This is the last question. All these questions, we answered a lot of them. Here's number 40. Let's see what it is. How did you get customers and different brands' attention, such as the NBA? So this is one of the questions that I answered very early in this Q&A session. How did I get the attention of brands? And they don't mean the NBA like playing in the NBA. They mean like doing branding deals or any kind of business with the NBA. So I did the NBA business was from the event I spoke at in Atlanta. It was someone from the NBA. Her name was Kate. She approached me and said, we want you to speak to our players in the developmental league, now called the G League, about transitioning from basketball to the business world. So that's how I got connected to the NBA. Another way I got connected with the NBA/G League is they sent me some gear when they rebranded themselves as the G League. They sent me a care package with like a gym bag and shirts and all kinds of stuff, sport towels and all this stuff, because they were rebranding themselves as the G League. So they were sending stuff out to influencers. They sent me stuff through that. That was just because they just knew who I was. I don't even know how they got my name from that. I just got an email from them one day and they sent me the stuff. I don't even know where that one came from. That one just came out of the blue. But other brands that I connected with, again, I told you, people knowing me having a connection, a loose connection to a person I didn't even know like that, but they knew my name got brought up somewhere and people knew who I was. That's happened so many times in my life simply because I got so much stuff out there in the world that people just come across me. People come across my name, they come across my brand because I'm always out here. I'm putting myself out there every day. I know exactly what my brand is about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you mention the phrase work on your game, you got to mention my name. If you mention my name, you got to mention work on your game. I have created the brand in that way. So that's how people come across me. So a lot of times it's just people thinking of me. It's not me going to them. It's them thinking of me. And I'm out here. This is what I do. What I focus on are the people that I'm serving. I want to serve the people who are looking to tune into a show like this and listen to stuff like this and read books like The Mirror of Motivation and read books like Work on Your Game. And you hear a phrase like work on your game. You're like, yeah, I want to work on my game. Let me hear what this dude is talking about. That's what I focus on. I don't focus on, let me get a brand deal. I don't focus on, let me get a commercial or let me get on a billboard or let me get an advertisement, even though I've done all of those things. I don't focus on that. I focus on serving my audience, and then those things happen tangentially. And the reason why I don't focus on those things, even though they're great things to do, they're great to serve the ego, and they can be very lucrative financially, the reason I don't focus on them is because they can go just as easily as they come. I say the wrong thing on this show that somebody doesn't like, and it goes against some empowered group or that feels like they're being, some group that feels like they're being marginalized. They feel like I offended them. Now nobody wants to do a brand deal with me anymore because Dre, he's toxic. He's canceled. That could happen any day if I offend the wrong person in the wrong group because I offered the wrong opinion. I'm not saying that that's what I'm angling to do, but how many people do you see it happen to weren't even trying to have it happen to them? But when it comes to my audience, the audience that I own and the customers that I have and the prospects that I've worked with and the clients that I've served, nobody can cancel that. Nobody can cancel that relationship no matter what you do. So that is what I've always been focused on. As I told you, I am not focused on being a brand, even though I am a brand and I appreciate being one and I'll keep milking it as I can. I'm focused on being a business. I'm focused on being a business because being a business lasts longer because nobody can be the coolest guy. You can't be the coolest person out there forever. Your brand is not always going to be the one on top or the one that's the most hot forever. Eventually, everybody gets replaced by whoever the new hot person is, because everybody here, whatever age we are now, 10 years from now, we'll be 10 years older, and there's going to be a new wave of people, and they're the ones who are the tastemakers, and they might not think that I am so cool, at least not that group. Maybe you still will, but who knows what we're doing at that point. But I don't control no popularity. Branding is like your brand is like your popularity, how people feel about you, what people's opinion is. Now, who are you compared to this person? I can't control that conversation. What I can control it to an extent, but I can't fully control it. And more important than that, who really gives a damn? Because as I said, I don't really give a damn because I'm a business person and a salesperson more than I am a brand or an influencer. Again, I appreciate those things, but I'm in a business world. I'm an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurship is about how do we bring the money in? And that's not even in a selfish, is all about the money type of way, all about the Benjamins type of way. That's what businesses do. Businesses generate revenue, and nobody can be in business if you're not generating any revenue. You ask any business person y'all are in an entrepreneurship class. So the next person you have come in, ask them. They'll tell you that you got to make money. And I noticed that a lot of you all's questions here, and this is the last question, but I noticed a lot of questions that I was asked by this high school class. A lot of you are asking about branding and having a brand and having that attention and having people know you and getting the brand deals and things like that. And I understand that that's the thing that's super popular these days, and I have that. I have established it. There are many people who are way, way bigger than I am, and I understand that's the thing. And yes, there is a way to make money from your brand. Let me be clear about that. If you have a strong brand, you will get brand opportunities. You will get business opportunities. You will have companies coming to you and they want to do deals with you. And listen, they pay, and they pay very well. Trust me. I remember when I first started doing these brand deals and they would tell me how much they were offering me. I'm like, they're going to give me that much just to do that? Just to make a 2-minute video? They're going to give me that? Oh, yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. I had a video by tomorrow. So yes, there's a lot of money that you can make doing the brand deals. The thing is, you can't control how often they come in, and you can't control if you're the hot person that they're interested in right now. They might decide you ain't hot anymore, and they decide they want to do something else. Now, when I was making basketball videos every day, I would get a lot of attention from basketball companies. They would send me sneakers and all stuff like that. I don't really make basketball videos anymore, so they don't really send me sneakers like that anymore, and I don't give a damn because that's not my focus. That's not the game that I'm in. I'm in the game. I'm not in the game of getting free sneakers. I'm in the game of making money. And what works for me is what the work on your game philosophy does. And again, we give game. Right now, I'm giving you all this game every day, 1,700 days in a row for free. I charge you absolutely nothing for this. And when it comes to the other material, I'm giving you the book, Mirror Motivation, for free. You just cover the shipping. And the YouTube videos, all free. What I post on social media, all free. If you want to take it to another level, I got ways to do that. But I understand 98% of the audience is never going to do that. Just going to take what they can get for free, and that's okay. But we are in the business of how do we translate this game into us making money, because otherwise we wouldn't be a business, and otherwise I'd be doing something completely different, at least with my full-time resources. So when it comes to getting the attention of brands, I got it because I'm out here giving out game. They found me. I wasn't going around like, hey, brands, pay attention to me. But there's nothing wrong with that. If I have somebody in that space, let's say I had a manager or someone whose job it was to just shop me around to brands and get me some brand deals, and they could be their full-time work, I would take that employee and I would put them to work today. But since we don't have that person on staff right now, maybe we will next year, maybe 2 years from now, 5 years from now, maybe we will. But for now, we're really focused on what we need to do, and we can't do everything. It's not about, I don't know how many times I got to keep saying it. It's not about the brand, it's about the business, because that's how we stay in business. All that being said, to Prairie High's entrepreneurship class and to my guy, Brian Peckert, thank you for offering me the opportunity to appear in front of your classes, 2 classes. I'm blanking on the name of the other teacher, but the other gentleman who had me come speak to his class, I appreciate you as well. And all the students, thank you for taking a look at what I'm doing and asking these questions. It's definitely very helpful. It's been helpful to me to even articulate this stuff. And I think also to the audience who are not in your class, who've been listening to these episodes, it's been very helpful to them as well. And it's helpful to me in another way, in that I love to hear how someone who never heard of me before, but you took a quick cursory look at me, and then you asked some questions, especially from a completely different generation, the generation that I'm in. And these are the questions that you came up with. This gives me a lot of insight into how you younger people are thinking. So this helps me a lot in a lot of ways as well. So I definitely appreciate you all taking the time to take a look at me. I definitely appreciate you welcoming me as a guest in your class. And hopefully you've been listening to all 6 of these episodes. I hope I wasn't too long-winded in answering these questions and giving you the full context. I tend to give people full context when I answer questions, not just the surface answers. Hopefully that's useful to you, but that's just the way that I communicate. And I think that's that. But this show is not done. This episode is done, but we got another episode coming tomorrow, and you can look again if you go to workonyourgamepodcast.com. You can see every episode that's ever come out of this show. We got it all in order. You can listen to any episode that I mentioned. You can just scroll through any of those groups and you see them all right there. And there are probably plenty that I haven't mentioned here, but 1,700, I can't mention them all every day. And that's that, everybody. So if you want to, any of you out there, who wants to maybe work one-on-one with me, you want to access any of our courses that we've created, we put them all into one place. It is called Work on Your Game University. You get access to everything. You get the daily text messages coming straight from me every morning when you wake up. You have a text in your phone coming straight from me to keep your mind on point, keep you focused. You get access to the Bulletproof Mindset. You get the Work on Your Game system. You get every month we do an open Q&A call that is just for members only. We have a private community that is only for members, and a bunch of other stuff that I'm blanking on right now. But just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You can see it for yourself. I don't have to remember it because we wrote it down. So all that being said, everyone, thank you for listening in these last 6 episodes. But the show, we're going to keep going. We got a new episode coming tomorrow as usual. And let's keep going. Work on your game. Y'all know what it is. Dre all day.